Alrighty, guys, welcome to the Sleuth Intuition channel. Going to be covering the Karen Reed trial today, verdict watch. I'll be in and out. So feel free to talk amongst yourselves in the chat, and I'll be with you shortly. All right, guys, let me know if I'm a little bit choppy because my wife is in a meeting upstairs in her office. She says she's fine, but I just want to make sure on my end everything seems okay. Make sure my voice isn't like robotic or whatever. The Curious Contrarian, what's up? Thanks for sharing on X. I appreciate that. Curious Contrarian, leading by example. Miss Doglover, how you doing? I haven't followed the case at all, Sleuth. Would you mind giving a quick overview, please? No, I actually have one lined up for you. I'm going to do the entire timeline. We're going to go through everything. The first trial, leading into the second trial, up till today. So we're going to do that right now. And I have a file filled with Karen Reed information and content. And we'll just kind of share that as time goes by. And hopefully we'll get a verdict or we'll get something back. So if you haven't voted on the poll question, do so now. All right, so let's get into the timeline. Let's pop this up. This kind of helps a little bit. So here you have the intact light. This is what it looks like. This is the tail light once it was at the Sally Port, which is where the investigative team stored it. That's really what the Sally Port is. January 29th, 8:30 a.m. Office dash cam. So I guess it's showing us a broken light. January 29th, 5 a.m. So this would have been after she hit him. They're showing a broken light. January 29th, 5 a.m. John's ring camera. Another view showing a broken light. January 28th, fully intact the day before. So it's very interesting. Welcome in Boston Christian, Phil Bond. All right, 2021 through 2022. The background and lead up to the incident. December 31st, 2021. Karen Reed and John O'Keefe, a Boston police officer, have a fight during a trip to Aruba with friends. The argument stems from a misunderstanding where Reed believes O'Keefe kissed another woman, Marietta Sullivan. This incident is later referenced as evidence of relationship tension. So this is kind of what they're going to try to get her on the second-degree murder. Intent. Right? She was angry. Crime of passion. January 28th, 2022. Reed and O'Keefe, along with friends, go out drinking in Canton, Massachusetts. They visit C.F. McCarthy's. O'Keefe arrives at about 7:37 p.m. Reed a little later at 8:51 p.m. And later the Waterfall Bar and Grill, arriving together around 10:54 p.m. Prosecutors later claim Reed consumed several alcoholic drinks, with footage showing her having at least 7 drinks by 10:53 p.m. Damn. At 11 p.m., Reed and O'Keefe are at the Waterfall Bar and Grill with friends, including Brian Albert, Jennifer McCabe, and others. Welcome in Jill Moser. Let's welcome Grunge. How's it going, Grunge 77? I think it was out of anger, but she might not necessarily want to kill him. Yeah, if they can prove that she was angry and did it out of anger, knowingly, with intent, yeah, that's second-degree murder. The contrarian says she was turned. She had the club going up. But I don't think it was a Tuesday. Let's welcome in Carolyn A. So I guess we're waiting for the shit to hit the fan. But in the meantime, let's get back to the timeline. All right, let's jump to January 29th, 2022. Now, this is the night of John O'Keefe's death. Shortly after midnight, Reed drives O'Keefe in her Lexus SUV to the home of Boston police officer Brian Albert at 34 Fairview Road in Canton for an after-party. Witnesses report seeing Reed's SUV outside the home around 12:15 a.m. At 12:25 a.m., O'Keefe's phone records its last movement based on GPS data. At 12:27 a.m., Jennifer McCabe texts O'Keefe, "Here?" ? At 12:29 a.m., McCabe calls O'Keefe. This call is later deleted from her phone per defense claims. It's unclear if the call was answered. This is the latest estimated time Reed would need to leave 34 Fairview Road to arrive at Meadows Avenue by 12:36 a.m. You're welcome, Carolyn. Everybody is free to speak their mind, whether you're pro-guilty, pro-not guilty, pro-prosecution, pro-defense. Just be respectful. And remember, if you're feeling triggered about anything or emotional about anything, it's probably a huge red flag that you have confirmation bias. So remember, if you feel like you want to respond emotionally, just take a deep breath. Consider the alternative and rebut. Oh, no worries, Grunge. We're learning as we go. Drunken anger between both of them. Yep, absolutely. He may have slammed the door, given her a low blow, said something really mean to her, called her out. Maybe even broke up with her or something, like F you, then you bitch, and then she just snaps. Like, what? Backs right into him. Agreed to disagree. Called her a C. Yeah, that's a bad one. I feel like men only use that word when they're really pissed off. I don't think they should ever use it, but typically that's when it's used. Yeah. So that's what they're claiming. They're claiming that she hit him. So let's get back to this here. So we're at about 12:30 to 12:35 a.m. Witnesses Ryan Nagel and Heather Maxon arriving at 34 Fairview Road around this time see Reed's SUV, but do not notice damage to her taillight or see O'Keefe outside or in the vehicle. This testimony raises questions about whether O'Keefe was already inside the Albert home. But we all know they could have just been sitting in the car, right? Having an argument, maybe, or just talking. Maybe she hit him on accident. Maybe it wasn't out of anger. Colin Albert, present at the party, testifies he left the Albert residence around 12:30 a.m. 12:31 a.m., McCabe texts O'Keefe, "Pull behind me." 12:35 a.m., O'Keefe's phone records its last activity at 12:32 a.m. Reed's SUV records a reverse maneuver between 12:32. Okay, so they have this broken down to the second. O'Keefe's phone records its last activity at 12:32:09 a.m. Reed's SUV records a reverse maneuver between 12:32:04 a.m. So they have it broken down to the second. So you have at the 4-second mark, Reed hits reverse. At the 9-second mark, just 5 seconds later, O'Keefe's phone records its last activity. Like, that's fucking proof right there. You cannot argue that. And at 12:32:12 a.m., per digital forensic expert Shannon Burgess, the prosecution suggests this could indicate Reed struck O'Keefe while backing up, though Burgess notes no collision is definitively recorded. The injuries don't match a car hit. What kind of a car hit, Carolyn? I mean, a car could hit you going 5 miles an hour. A car could hit you going at 60 miles an hour. Where were you standing when the car hit you? Did it hit you in the torso, in the waist area, in the hips? Were you kneeling down? Did it hit you in the face, the shoulder? What are you referring to when you say a car hit? Because technically, a car could hit you going 2 miles per hour. Looks like you're just kind of writing it in as we go. She was waiting for him outside to come back. I don't remember hearing anything like that. She wasn't so drunk that she couldn't still drive. That's why I'm saying it could be an accident. She could have accidentally ran him over. But why cover it up? Welcome in CJK, Miss Dog Lover, Carolyn, Jari, Curious Contrarian, Grunge 77, and Patty. Says doctor testified dog bites on his arm. Yep, we watched that testimony. No DNA from a dog, though. She didn't say that it was dog bite. She said, I believe she said consistent with. Okay, where are we at? 12:40. 12:40 to 12:45 a.m., McCabe sends multiple texts to O'Keefe. Hello at 12:40 a.m. and where are you? 12:42. Well, they were expecting him at the very shortly after this incident was supposedly happening. Followed by another hello at 12:45 a.m. At 1:30 to 2 a.m., Jennifer and Matthew McCabe, Julie Nagel, and Sarah Levinson leave the Albert residence. Caitlin Albert is picked up by her boyfriend around this time. They didn't see anything. 2:27 a.m., defense claims Jennifer McCabe Googled how long to die in cold. Though prosecutors argue this search occurred later, after O'Keefe's body was found. The defense alleges McCabe deleted this search from her phone. At 4:30 a.m., Reed wakes O'Keefe's niece, informing her that O'Keefe did not come home. Right? She's probably starting to sober up right about this time. The niece calls and texts O'Keefe with no response. 4:53 a.m., O'Keefe's niece, prompted by Reed, calls Jennifer McCabe to report O'Keefe's absence. Reed speaks with McCabe and decides to drive to McCabe's home. 5 a.m., Reed calls friend Carrie Roberts saying O'Keefe didn't come home and may have been hit by a snowplow. Wow, already grooming. Already setting the stage. Why would he have been hit by a snowplow? Roberts contacts the police non-emergency line and Good Samaritan Hospital to check for accidents, then meets Reed and McCabe. As they search, Reed, McCabe, and Roberts drive to 34 Fairview Road. Reed spots O'Keefe's body, right? It's Reed that spots him. Nobody can see shit. Reed spots O'Keefe's body in the snow near the flagpole, exclaiming, "There he is, there he is." Roberts testifies that Reed screamed, "Carrie, Carrie, Carrie, John's dead," in an earlier call. Now we're in the morning hours. This is between 5 and 6 a.m. O'Keefe's body is found bruised and battered in the snow outside Brian Albert's home. Reed reportedly says, I hit him," to paramedics. Though the defense disputes this, claiming she said, "What if I hit him?" Let's see. I think I have a video of her talking about this. Oh, yeah, here it is.
Firefighter said that you said, "I hit him, I hit him, I hit him."
I said, I hit him. It was preceded by a did and proceeded by a question mark. What?
Guys, for me, it's in the eyes. I feel like people like Karen Reed and people like Richard Allen and Brian Koberger, they got this pressure that's just behind their eyes. It's making their eyes want to pop out of their head. I see it with people in known cases of psychopathy, right? A lot of white around the eyes. Why are her eyes bulging out of her head? And why is that something that people with psychopathy have in common? Remember, eventually Richard Allen's eyes actually did pop out of his head. They literally were popping out of his head. That's what's about to happen to her.
Firefighter said that you said, "I hit him, I hit him, I hit him."
I said, I hit him. It was preceded by a did and proceeded by a question mark. What?
It's almost like she's trying to stab him with her eyes. Both sides in Karen Reed trial heading back into court. So let's see what happens here.
To the first trial. The first trial, they received a case late on Tuesday. By Monday, it was declared a mistrial. But the question will be, Glenn, is that the last time the jury came back twice to say they were deadlocked.
That's right.
And it took what we call a Tui Rodriguez instruction from Judge.
All right. So let's keep on with the chat here. So what's the verdict? No, we don't have one yet. Maybe now, or just like the first trial, they might come back and say, hey, we're deadlocked. and then they got to go back and keep working at it for a little while.
Trials, they were prosecuted and defended very different.
What's up, Melissa? Really, OMG, people say not be a third trial. I mean, it's possible if they're deadlocked again. But the prosecutor at that point might just be like, you know what, there's really nothing we can do at this point. They might just drop it. The Red Queen, what's up? It's good to see you. Working and lurking. Hopefully you're having a great day. She looks like Heath Ledger's Joker dude. She looks like Steve Buscemi. It's like when she's telling a lie, her eyes bulge. Melissa says she's innocent, I think. A lot of people think she's innocent. If you go to some of these law channels or these court TV channels and you look at the consensus in the chat and on the polls, the majority of people think that she's not guilty. For whatever reason, the majority of people in the true crime community support the actual accused.
Included charges, which if you haven't seen the verdict slip, it is very.
All right, let's see. So they're talking about the verdict slips. I think I got these from Turbo on her X feed. Guess we can talk about that. So this is how the jury is going to be voting. They're going to be using this very slip here. CJK, what up? Growing Crazy, how you doing? Red Queen says, I think innocent. A lot of people are supporting Karen Reed. But like I said, a lot of people are susceptible to the manipulation of a psychopath. And a lot of that is preceded by a hatred for law enforcement or a mistrust in law enforcement, which therefore creates a confirmation bias. And that's how you join social media cults that support the accused without really needing any evidence, or you're just sure about it and nothing will change your mind. Not saying that's any of you guys. You can also think not guilty and be true. This is just my opinion. You could be right and I can be wrong. It's okay. We're just having a discussion about a very high profile case that we really have nothing to do with. No reason to be emotional about it. No reason to act like you know Karen Reed or you have a reason to despise her. Should be focusing specifically on the evidence, not on the emotion behind it all. I say she's going to be charged with manslaughter for sure.
And to give it to us. Paul, do you have it? Thank you. I haven't seen this. It's been sealed. I'm now going to seal it in the legal sense. So this is sealed. No one will have access to it. It will be preserved and made part of this record. I'm going to ask it to be marked for identification with the word jury, Chrissy, just to keep it separate and apart from everything else. So it's marked for ID with the word jury.
It's macked. What's going on, Mark?
All right. So we do not have a verdict because, as we all know, there is no verdict until it is announced and recorded in open court. So we are still awaiting a verdict. Because it took a while to pull this together, I would ask that everybody remain in the building until the end of the day. So we'll see everybody later.
Well, I have to say, I can't.
Well, no verdict. All right, guys. I think we're going to wrap this one up. There may be a part 2. So I'm going to keep kind of monitoring everything that's going on with the trial. And if we need to, we'll go back live. So I will see you guys again real soon. Looks like as of right now, there is no verdict. So let me close the poll down. Might as well.
I can tell that she has a great sense of humor.
Melissa, she's worse than Goal. I didn't think Goal was bad. Okay, so the question was, will we see a verdict in the Karen retrial today? We still might. The judge told everybody to hang tight. So they still have a few hours. So we might go live again later, depending on whether or not there's an announcement, right? But the poll question, will we see a verdict in the Karen retrial today? 43% of you say yes, not guilty. So the majority of you think that she's not guilty. 23% say yes, guilty, manslaughter only. 20% say no, not today, buddy. And then 14% said yes, guilty on all counts. All right, guys. So I think it's safe to say we got a few more hours before we hear anything in regards to the Karen Reed case. So I'm going to go ahead and clock out now. You'll probably see me a little bit later today. I have a few live streams lined up. I'm working on a video as well. And the members only in the works. Trying to plan something fun for you guys. So I'll see you a little bit later in the day. Remember, don't do anything I wouldn't do. Peace.